My name is Angela Tom. I am a U.S. Medical Affairs Field Director for Orchard Therapeutics. Orchard Therapeutics is a gene therapy biotech company based out of the UK, home office in London, and US-based office in Boston. My role is to work in the field and develop medical science liaisons in the field that collaborate with clinical trial sites, academic medical centers, physicians, nurses, genetic counselors, et cetera, to help them understand the data that Orchard has generated around the clinical trials for the programs that we are developing, and to help move those programs from clinical trial space into the commercial space in the US. Well, I was drawn here. I literally got a LinkedIn email about an opportunity that talked about moving into industry in this space where we were treating rare disease and bringing forward new therapies for patients in hemophilia specifically. I hadn't had any new therapies in over a decade. And so really that was my motivation, was to help a broader population. So as a nurse practitioner at the University of Arizona, working in hemophilia for about 10 years. And then this was the next step. This was a way to really, instead of helping 200 families in Southern Arizona, help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families across the US and potentially across the globe. I work with people from all different science backgrounds, right? So biochemistry degrees, physicians from backgrounds in pediatrics, backgrounds in emergency medicine, psychiatry, just every different kind of background in healthcare can contribute. In other companies, I've worked with people who are patient educators, who come in as nutritionists, dental assistants, a variety of things, with science being the very foundation. Think of it as being a perpetual graduate student. We learn information, we integrate that information into our conversation, and then we bring that information to the general public. And then we listen for the general public, being providers in the community, for their thoughts, their needs, gaps in what we have to offer. My undergraduate degree was in nursing at the University of Arizona, and I went to work as a pediatric nurse at UMC. That evolved into a want to really advance that practice. So I became a nurse practitioner and specialized in hemophilia. So every step along the way, learning a new piece, but also becoming a little bit more specialized. Right, from general pediatrics. So I had to help schools learn how to care for patients with hemophilia, help families learn how to take care of their children, help them identify how to travel, go to camp, do all of these different things, and pulling all those skills that I learned along the way into this role was a lot of fun, right? So nurse practitioner, what I found as I came into industry, that those things, leadership items, networking, identifying resources that are unique, that can be then leveraged to take the next step forward for patients or for families or for your team. If you have a team that needs to learn something, how to drill down to the basic information and present it to them. Well, nurses learn that. If you're going to be a nurse, the very first thing you have to learn is how to teach a patient, right? And so that translates to teaching a team, teaching other groups, and then the science piece of nursing. Nursing, you have to understand psychology, biology, sociology, chemistry, physics, et cetera, and all of that pulls through to understanding, even in gene therapy, the very basic information needed and how to translate in a way that it can be understood by broader groups. Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost is to understand that the role includes being in the medical affairs arena, medical science liaisons, medical affairs. It's very different than being in the sales role, and that's what's great about it, right? For me, for people that are coming up, but it also can leverage into a sales role if that's what people are looking out to get. There's a lot of opportunity in industry. Certifications, so there's medical science liaison societies, there's companies that work in specific disease states, right? So becoming a specialist or understanding that piece extremely well and being the expert can lead to that next step into industry in a variety of roles. There's, every company has so many different departments, and just having that one special piece of knowledge can translate into a role in pharmaceutical industry. Identifying where your wants and needs are, as far as, do you like small, intimate groups with a lot of change and a lot of diversity? or do you like the bigger kind of structured environments, right? I work for a small biotech. We have about 200 employees. Things change constantly, and being very, very comfortable with change and understanding where your discomfort is and working through that is extremely important in any role. Finding what your passion is and becoming expert in that area will take you to any path you want to get to. The foundation is the science, which University of Arizona, I think, can provide quite well. But they also can provide is the business acumen. And that I had to learn over time from experience, but I think there are a lot better ways to learn it in the current world, right? So seek out those business type conferences or experiences where you can learn a little bit more about how business strategy happens, what you need to know to be able to impact change in business strategy, right? There's science, but then there's business. And the two of them come together in very nice ways sometimes, but sometimes there can be clashes there. And it's how to understand that connect. I graduated from the College of Nursing in 1991, and I still am in touch with many of my colleagues and friends from that time. Keeping those lifelong friendships that you establish at the university as a college student has been really important to me moving through. When I went back, I actually got my graduate degree much later in 2002. The support and the structure in the graduate program was key to a successful sort of launch into a professional career with a master's degree, right? And I think the U of A has built a good foundation. I would assume it's still there. It's a few years later now. I think that could only have gotten better, right? And launching us out into the world and continuing to have ways to engage like you are doing with the network here with the alumni and bring people back into that university setting and have offerings where we can engage, network, and learn from each other in our professional world.